What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fi here. Sheets is going to be joining me, actually. I'm going to get out of here at 6:20, but I'm going to go through everything. This is a great slate. There's a lot of things to choose from. There aren't the obvious standouts. You don't have a collection of hitters that a stack that is going to be overly owned. I think you could literally stack any five man and still feel good about it because there's nobody projecting to be owned really, like no player above 15%, or maybe even in the bigger buy-ins or single entry you get up to even 25 or 30% on a couple guys. But like, I think this is a really good slate to spread out a little bit. I don't think you have to get too crazy off the board. I think you can get crazy off the board because some of these stacks that are getting completely unowned, like the two percenters and especially in the lottery, are being overlooked. So I'm going to start with that. If I'm playing the lottery, the $15, and I was going to be scripting, but I was also going to be, hand building a couple 777s and 888s, I don't think I'd end up with the Dodgers and Yankees much in general with the hand build, although I did force one in. But the Dodgers and Yankees are two of the best offenses, arguably the two best offenses in baseball. The Dodgers have completely owned Manaea. It's only been, I think, 4 starts now, maybe. But I think they've scored double-digit runs every time he's pitched against them, and that's my lottery stuff. Sheets is here, so we'll talk about the real stuff now. But that was just my lottery take here. My lottery take.
What was the lottery take?
Play the Dodgers and Yankees together.
Oh, there it is.
I mean,
I have a worse one.
It can't be worse. How can that be bad on any slate, right? It's not like we're facing.
I have a worse take, so I just
all right, go with it.
I'll tell you who my top team is.
All right, let's hear it.
And I was staring at it, and then it was something that you said that in our preview earlier that really just like tipped it for me. I really need a really good team. That's what I decided. So since you're going to play Yankees and Dodgers, I'm going to be on the Reds.
I 100% knew that it was either going to be the Reds, but I thought that you might have gone Minnesota too as the other team.
No, Minnesota's too good of a team. It's got to be the Reds. And you know what? I'm like sitting there, who am I against? It's Lauer. I don't know. We were talking about him regressing. We were talking about this, and you know what? I'd like all the regression to come in one day. That is kind of what I would like.
I kind of like your idea. I definitely have a lot of Reds sprinkled in as like one-offs and little, like maybe a couple two-mans, but I do actually have some Lauer, to be honest. I don't know. This Reds lineup is nothing to be scary, but at the same time, they cost nothing. You're going against a guy who is, if he is in fact regressing like it looks like he is, you've got, 8 righties in the lineup against him. He's, obviously a lefty. I think you can get away with it. So I kind of like the weird bold calls. Now, what are you doing in terms of your higher buy-in, in terms of the
That's what I'm playing.
Oh, you're going with the Reds all the way.
That's who I'm playing.
God, I love this guy. This is incredible.
I wasn't joking.
You weren't joking. But I mean, you could get the Dodgers and Yankees just as low owned as the Reds, right?
But I told you, I don't want to play good teams like that.
It's too good.
I want to play the terrible teams. That's the plan.
God. I hear you, man. I understand it. It's one of those slates which is like lovely for me. Like, I mean, again, it'd be great if I was max entering. This would be a really fun max entry slate because, I could get my exposures and just be overweight on like 6 teams. And then
I like the White Sox.
Oh, okay. That was not one that I come across very often.
I like the White Sox a little bit. And the other thing, this is really, really bizarre. I am coming out of mini retirement and playing on FanDuel tonight.
Oh, I love it. I mean, it's a guaranteed win right there.
Well,
guaranteed first place.
If so, I'm probably going to be chopping it up because I'm pretty chalky over here. On FanDuel, I have I think I have Milwaukee and who's the other one? Milwaukee paired with Philly. So I'm pretty chalky over there, I believe.
So I have Milwaukee paired with Boston on my big ones
on
FanDuel. But let me just say, though, there is nobody stacking these teams the way that I'm stacking them.
Nice.
I don't think people are playing Caratini and Hosmer as part of those stacks. 7th and 8th,
Like that.
And that's Hosmer is my surprise, weird absolutely makes no sense. Call it a going back to KC, feeling good about himself. I think Hosmer hits a home run tonight, which is absolutely ridiculous. It'll be less than 1% owned, I think, but that's what I'm doing anyway. On FanDuel, and I am doing the Yankees Dodgers stack on FanDuel. I just think look, on slates like this, shouldn't we just err on the side of playing the best offenses? And I was really excited to maybe take Toronto as one of those. But you sit out, it's Springer's out, and I can't remember who else was out. I mean, you do add Witt though to the lineup too, which I mean that team is going to be tough. So a lot of interesting stuff here. The one thing is we do have one game with weather concerns because I was going to get a bunch of this for value.
Which?
I'm just staying away from it. It's a big slate. I don't need to play Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Now, both of them I could easily see being the best value and all this stuff. I'm not messing with it. I don't even care about what the weather report says. Maybe if it's totally good, in the next, 48, 54 minutes, I'll go for it. But I just don't think I need to do anything that creative. And sort of like Mo was mentioning in chat earlier, like stacking against Robbie Ray, if this was a 6-game slate, I would be playing the Angels like as my main stack. Now, because it's a 15-game slate, or a 5-game slate, let's say, because it's a 15-game slate and we have lots of other things that the ownership spread out, Robbie Ray is my number one pitcher by far. You know what I mean? It's very weird how that stuff works. Does that make sense to you, Sheets?
Yeah, it does. So to answer Eric Johnson's question within chat, not the one about Kluber, but the one about he said, "Can you guys tell me why I shouldn't play Mad Bum or Marquez in the same lineup?" So here's the answer to the question: is we did the video earlier. In that is that you just don't have to. It's my opinion. We looked at all these guys and they all look like really cool fancy play type plays on slates where maybe you want to, I don't know, overpay for Toronto bats when otherwise you wouldn't be able to, or overpay for Yankees bats when otherwise you wouldn't be able to. But it seems as though you just don't need to do that on tonight's slate.
Right. It's like 5 betting from the small blind without an ace in your hand before the antes are involved in poker. Like there's just absolutely no reason to ever do it. It probably will work, but you just don't need to do it. You know what I mean? And I don't think you should put them in the same lineup. I do think those extra 4 points when you get into those price ranges actually do matter for the win. Okay. That's my personal take too. Like I don't. If I was going to mess around with those guys, I would definitely split them up. And I actually do have a Marquez lineup or two, and I have a Mad Bum lineup. These are lottery shots, and it's right. Only just try to because I don't see outside of Ray and C's anybody who's like they stand out as a kind of a must play. The one guy who's not getting looked at, who has 17 consecutive quality starts, and maybe you use this on FanDuel, is Valdez. Valdez with 17 consecutive quality starts, likely the win. So you just put those. So that's automatically 10 points for you. Let's just say if that continues, even with the low strikeouts, then you just get through the innings. If he strikes out 5 or 6 and either C's or Ray gets hit, then you have a different construction because you paid up at pitcher and nobody else is paying up for that guy. So it's just an interesting guy to think about. That's one other thing I want to throw out there. I also think that this is like a really good slate to I just want to, so I'll throw out what I'm doing a little bit of on my main stuff. I'm really struggling not to play Berrios and Kluber. I think that they both are in great spots. What is going to keep me probably from playing Kluber is that I can play Kyle Gibson at 7K for cheaper, who has a longer leash. Kluber throws 80 something pitches every game now. He doesn't. This is not the Kluber of old where he threw 130 pitches. I don't think he's hit 100 pitches this season. He's barely hit 90. I think he's hit 90 like once. So it just seems like a little thin, even though it's a great matchup. Berrios, I want guys with a leash. You know what I mean? I want guys who can help me win the slate. I want to be looking down there and going, oh, how am I going to get there? But I've got a 5% pitcher or a 6% pitcher who's got a chance to be the highest scoring player on the slate. Whereas it's so hard for Kluber to be that guy, which is what led me to playing more Lauer, unfortunately, but also led me to playing more Gibson. That's what I'm going to do.
Also, what about how much? Not how much of, but obviously, but I also like Tampa. We discussed them earlier.
Love Tampa. Don't love the lineup they put out, but I love it for value. It's just now an incredible value stack. So between Tampa and KC, you can play the value pieces and then do whatever you want. You could do a 2-2. You could do 3-3 of them, or you could do a 4. You could do a 4-4 of those two teams. I mean, and pay nothing. The problem is you don't even need that much to save at pitching. I mean, if we had like Scherzer and Verlander at 13K each, then maybe you would need all that. Tampa's a terrific stack. I hate that they're batting a Rosarena sixth. I actually think it's really smart. It's really, really.
They always know what they're doing.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It's a really smart thing to do. It's just a little unfortunate when you're betting. You're playing a guy who's batting sixth at 4,800 or whatever. But I totally agree that Tampa's an awesome stack. My stacks haven't changed, but I like the KC value. I like Tampa. I like Houston. I like Milwaukee. And I don't think we'd have to worry as much about ownership. And I'm going to play some Dodgers and Yankees. And I'm also gonna play some Phillies. Again, more as mini stacks than full stacks. But yeah, I mean, I don't. People will say, "Oh, that's chalky. Oh, that's chalky." It can't all be chalky. There's just every lineup is rating basically the same. Sheet, I'm looking at your projections here, and there isn't a player you have above 15% owned. So. Yeah. That means we get to do whatever we want. And because of it, I am going to play some Red Sox, but I'm doing it in a very weird way because I want the ultimate low ownership. And I'm just going to play my Hosmer and hold my breath and go expect a 2 or a 3 and hoping for that weird, 26 fantasy point game from him.
My highest owned player actually is, and I played like 30 lineups in the lottery. My highest owned player is 31% owned Yandy Diaz.
That's really interesting because I made a bunch of Tampa stacks, and he's the one guy I don't have in any of them.
There it is. Yeah.
No, of course. Yeah, then Yandy Diaz comes in with a home run, and I feel like an idiot right off the bat. And
actually, that's not true. My highest owned is actually at 39% Brandon Lau. Actually,
Brandon Lau, he's probably right there for me too as well. Between both sites, I have 4 big lineups, and the guys who cross over onto both of them the most are Pasquantino, and I am getting to some Massey just because the 2K price did save me enough to where I could just pay up for everybody else. I have a lot of Yelich, chalky guys. Again, we're always going to be a little bit overweight on chalk that we like. I have a lot of Devers, but in terms of actual stacks, though, I do like this Houston stack. I don't care that this kid was good in the minors. I think this Houston lineup is really strong, even without Tucker, which was a big part of it. But then you get the value for McCormick, and you can use Jake Myers even too. But I would prefer McCormick. Obviously, McCormick is like he's at 2,600. He
won someone all the cheese last night.
He should win someone all the cheese all the nights. Like, I mean, this guy's home run per at bat is phenomenal. Like, he's a guy who would be hitting 35 home runs this year. Other guys who I like too, like I like Keibert Ruiz at catcher.
Dude, you got to be kidding me! Because literally the first chance I got after you finished talking about whatever, I was going to say, just so you guys know, a kind of a totally random, like kind of cool one-off would be Ruiz at catcher. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love to hear it. And then I love Robles too, like I can use it a little 2-man, and that's the other value I can add. There's just so much value that to get into really thin value isn't necessarily necessary unless you're doing it in a stack. But like, I don't think Robles batting first and Ruiz batting fifth are that thin. And especially because I think some people will play Kyle Gibson. I will play Kyle Gibson in some lineups, but these guys will be in the lineups that I don't.
Eric, regarding a couple more of your questions here, Baltimore stacks. I'm doing what Bob was kind of implying is that whenever you have a weather game like that, where it's not that important to get, I just fade it. I just exit out. So I'm not playing any of that game at all. And when you asked about the Reds, would you play a 5-man DK of them? I'll just save you the time. Like if it's a slate more than 5 games, if I say I really like a team, I'm always going to have a 5-man stack. So yeah, that's just the way I play.
Yeah, Sheets and I are different a little bit on that in terms of when it comes to the high buy-ins. On the lower buy-ins for the giant field things, I tend to agree with you, but I don't even know that it's all lazy. Anyway, whatever it is, I understand it either way. The Baltimore and Pittsburgh stacks, like we could say, oh, because the rain, now people are going to be low. Everybody's going to be low owned today. You know what I mean? Yeah, there is nothing happening. It would take if this game, the marquee, what's it called, Bumgarner was happening in Coors, that then you'd have chalk. You know,
Right.
there's just really can't be that much chalk. So I agree. I agree with it. It's fine to full stack. I think it's absolutely fine to do none of the above and like 3-3-2 it today. I think it's totally fine. I don't see. I mean, yeah, one team will probably go off, or this team will probably go off. But we saw it the other night with the Brewers. You get 3 solo home runs and a couple extra hits from those guys, and that's a perfect 3-man stack. You know what I mean? It's a huge slate. So you can find your favorite bats, build around them accordingly, try to find some correlation. On FanDuel, I always believe you need the correlation. I mean, you can do a 3-3-2 every now and then, but I think for FanDuel in general, you always want to be some sort of 4-2-2, 4-3-1. Almost never will I go 4-1-1-1 because the correlation just means so much more over on FanDuel.
Okay, I just want to give a little promo or whatever, not promo, just kind of a preview of the weekend. So for those of you that didn't notice, the EPL is back, starting their new season for soccer, and DFS Chan did a video today, and I asked if I could be on it, and he let me be on the video with him. I was trying to ask him some questions along the way. He really knows his soccer stuff, and it's you know what the coolest thing about the soccer sweat, if people haven't done this, is they're usually 4 games and they all start exactly the same time, you know, and they all end pretty much exactly the same time. And it's kind of cool to just sweat all 4 games and you don't have to worry about it for the whole sweat is 2 hours, you know. So he did a video on that, and so I'm going to be putting up sheets for that tomorrow as well. There's LOL literally every day. The next couple of days, multiple slates. I got second in some single entry today, which was good. And then there's 2 NASCAR races this week. There's Saturday, tomorrow is Xfinity. Sunday, the Cup Series. I'll have stuff out for that, and baseball all week long. No tennis this weekend because the slate's going to be too small. But PGA we'll have showdown slate for the definitely for the Sunday slate. So there's going to be a lot going on, and again, I'm around this weekend, so I'll be able to put some stuff up. And yeah, but I encourage you guys to watch the Chan stuff for both LOL and soccer. He's really really good at it.
Chan is so sharp, it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, I don't even know it, and I watched it, and I felt like I could compete. I didn't actually play, but I was like, this is actually like entertaining. It's like one of those things that, you know, because he releases them late, so I watch in the middle of the night, and it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
But I just want to go back to one general point. When you have so many stacks projecting similarly in so many situations and all that stuff, if you can use weather, that's the first thing. If you have extreme hitting weather, like in Philly, for example, there's, you know, great hitting weather today. If you can pick just the best, this sounds really obvious, but what about just taking the best teams in those situations?
Right.
You know? And that's where my Dodgers Yankees thing comes in on slates like this, where it wasn't what I planned to do to start the day, but it is absolutely what I'm adjusting to. And I don't even know if we have a Dodger lineup yet. But I just think it's so much better. It feels a lot better when you have, oh my God, I need Vinny Pasquantino to hit a home run, or I need Aaron Judge to hit a home run to get me. I'd rather have Aaron Judge. It's not a very complicated thing. And I just want to mention that, yeah, it's a small sample, but the Dodgers, 4 starts, 4 times against Minaya in their career, and they've scored double-digit runs in every start that he's made against them. And just worth noting, you know, they did release the lineup, and Chris Taylor's back in there, which is nice to see. You got Vargas in there for the cheap option. You've got Trace Thompson in there as another cheap option, especially on FanDuel.
I might go back on FanDuel and change one of my bigger buy-ins to have the Dodgers instead of either Philly or Milwaukee. I might do that actually.
Yeah, I just think that I just think the upside, you know, the upside is tremendous, and that's I guess that's my whole argument. But let's see, I can't even get. I'm 100 away from getting the little Bella. Jeez, come on, I got to figure something out with that lineup.
I used to think, like when I first started playing DFS, that they totally did that on purpose. Like they would figure out what lineup people would want to play, and then they intentionally made it so you're like 100 short.
You know, I think when they were back at the beginning, they did try to do stuff like that.
True?
Especially on small. It's just my thought. I don't know if it's right. I don't know anything about that. That's what I had the same feeling a million times, and it just seemed to make sense that was what was happening. But
so who do we like on the Dodgers? Let's take out Philly.
Trey, Mookie would be the start. and it's expensive.
I'm talking on FanDuel, so it didn't matter.
Oh, oh yeah, it's still expensive over there. Chris Taylor,
What
Vargas
about,
is your.
this guy Vargas? He's good, no?
I mean, he could be. He could be good. The problem is you have an immense pinch hit risk if the stack doesn't go your way. So, like, I wouldn't be mini stacking the Dodgers with Vargas. Vargas has to be 4 men or more for me.
Oh, there's Curtis Taylor. There's Chris Taylor. Dude, Cody Bellinger is hitting ninth.
I mean, he's had a rough year, but like,
I'm going to try it.
I don't care. Yeah, go ahead and go. I'm with you. I'm with you. He's had a rough year too versus lefties, but again, he's got 3 home runs. Yeah, I think he has 3 home runs, like 9 at bats against Mania or something like that. Yeah, why not? I mean, but you don't even need to get that creative. If you could, you're welcome to, but like, you could play anybody over there. My Dodgers that I'm using, which won't be Muncy anymore. No, I didn't put Muncy in there. Did I? No. Oh, I did. So Muncy won't be in there. I'll have to sub him in.
But Muncy's out. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I'll put in Chris Taylor.
Brewers are kind of expensive here. I mean, Taylor, Bellinger.
Perfect 1v1 swap for Chris Taylor for Muncy there. If you
okay.
If you had any Muncy, the same price. So I'm not putting in 5-man stacks of the Dodgers Yankees. I'm doing 4-4, 4-2, 4-3s, that kind of a thing. And the 2s and the 3s are the Yankees, just because the pricing is really hard to get to with keeping the pitchers that I want. But the main Dodgers are going to be Betts, Turner for me, and then I'm literally good with everyone else in the lineup. Depends on what else you're building. Like on FanDuel, for example, like Donaldson's cheap, so I don't need to go Vargas necessarily. So I'd rather I'll play the Betts, Turner, Taylor, and then I'll play like a Trace Thompson. Or you could use a Vargas. That's fine too. Either one, it's not really a whole big difference. And yeah, tons of pinch hit risk, huge, massive pinch hit risk for everybody on the Dodgers. But you don't worry about that if you're full stacking the team. You know what I mean?
Right.
You worry about that when you don't full stack the team. And yeah, sure, they could always get there in the later innings and all that stuff. No, you worry about that when they're not full stacking. You don't worry about that when you're full stacking, in my opinion. It's not even like the Giants, where if they're up by 6 runs, they'll still pinch hit for like the 3 guys who have already hit home runs that day. But there is a very likely chance that if this game is like 3-2 in the 6th, that all of these guys are getting pinch hit for, except for the obvious ones. And I am playing a bunch of Freddie Freeman on DraftKings for what it's worth. I don't care about lefty or anything. I just like I like the chance. I just feel like it's getting overlooked a little bit too much. The Dodgers, all this talk about the Padres, that also worries me about the pinch hit risk, by the way, too. But all this talk about the Padres winning the trade deadline and all this stuff. What do the Dodgers do? They go out and they double sweep San Francisco 4 times in the last 2 times they played them. And they're significantly by far the best team in baseball. So playing them never feels bad to me. I don't know how else to put it. But yes, massive pinch hit risk. For basically the whole Dodger lineup outside of 5 guys. The top 5, basically. And there's no pinch hit risk for those guys. And there's pinch risk, like if they score 10 runs, they might stop playing these guys. It's like the old Indians thing. When the Indians used to score, they'd be up like 11-0 in the 3rd. You feel great about your stack, but you only got like 3 at-bats out of your players, and you're like, oh, we were going to win all the money, and then they just shift a whole new team out there.
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm going to go pretty soon because I do want to hear the weather just in case there's anything else that I'm missing, although I'm not that high on the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. Sheets, do you have anything much more to add? Again, Tampa Bay.
I would also like to add, by the way, I forgot a sport. I forgot my favorite sport. Is the MMA sheets are up, and I did a video for that yesterday. That should be up there. Any changes there, I'll let everybody know. And that's it. I'm going to fly too. You'll see me popping in and out throughout the weekend at some point. And good luck, everybody.
All right, good luck, everybody. Take something down.